Hello and welcome to the Temple of Enlightenment International Spiritual Center. My name is Issachar Bey. I want to welcome everybody for tuning in. Please, if this is your first time, let us know what city, what state, and what country you're listening in from. We want to thank everybody for meeting us here. We're here every week, same time, same place. And I want to thank personally all of you, those that have contributed to our organization financially, who has helped us by sowing the seed, by donations. We want to thank you so much. I also want to announce that my new book is out. It's 365 astrological. It's the 365 astrological compass. And what it is even if you don't know anything about astrology, or you're new to astrology, or you want to learn about astrology, I think that this is a good book for you to get, because not only is it good for beginners, but also it gives you the ability to navigate you in life about certain things, and how everything we do in life, there's a compass, there's a sense of direction that we can move into, and the different tools that we can use to navigate. So I think that it's something that will be beneficial to everybody. In the description below, you can click on the link and you can go ahead and get you a copy. I want to thank everybody for their support, everybody who gets it. And then everybody who does get the book, I will then give you a special discount code to book a session with me, a consultation. So you can click on the link below and go ahead and get you a copy. I want to thank everybody for their support. And really, really thank you for all of your consistency in helping us grow the channel, helping us to expand everything that you guys are doing. So just keep this in mind. If you know somebody else who you think might be beneficial for the book, you can go ahead and click the link and get a copy for them. But I want to thank everybody in advance for all of those who will go ahead and get a copy. We want to thank you. I want to go ahead and get into a quiet place. We're in a quiet moment here, where we're going to go within. We're going to tap into source, the quiet mind, to remove all noise, all kind of discomfort, discord, and get into a level of stillness. I want you to take a deep breath and inhale and exhale. Again, take a deep breath and inhale and exhale. Once again, take a deep breath and inhale and exhale. I recognize right now that there is one infinite intelligence, one divine mind, one creative power moving through all things. And that power is not outside of me, it is within me. It is not a spectator in life. I am one who selects the scenes. I am not reacting to reality, I am projecting it. Right now, I release every illusion that I am behind, stuck, or off track. There is no delay in divine creation, only redirection. I step back into authority. I reclaim my vision. I take my seat in the director's chair. And from this moment forward, I see clearly. I decide boldly. I move deliberately. And so it is, and so it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk from the subject today. We're 4 months in, and it's time to take the director's chair back. Yes, we're in the month of April. We're 4 months in, and it's time to take the director's chair back. And somebody was like, well, what is he talking about? What does he mean, the director's chair? And so those of you, if this is your first time, or if you joined us recently, in the archives on our YouTube channel, there is a series called The Great Rewrite. I would definitely hope that you will go and listen to that series. In that series, we talk about how in life, if life is not going the way that you want it to go, you can rewrite the script. We believe that life is like a movie. And if you don't like the way that your life is going, you can rewrite the script. But we teach you in that series, The Great Rewrite, that you are the producer, the writer, the director, and the actor of your own life, of your own movie. And we teach you how to play each one of those roles and what it entails and how to be able to rewrite the script and rewrite your movie, your life as a movie. But I want to talk about the director's chair here. We're 4 months in. We're 4 months in to the year 2026. And I want to talk a little bit about the director's chair. Many people think they're just living. You know, we wake up every day, we go to work, we come home. We live like there's no purpose, like we don't have any destiny. We live like, we do the same thing over and over again, and we just go with the flow. Those people who live life like that, they're performing in a script they've never consciously wrote. They're living somebody else's script. You know, when we understand the power that we have over our lives, and you hear me say this all the time at the Temple of Enlightenment, that you ought to live life. Don't let life live you. But anyway, they're performing in a script they never consciously wrote. For 4 months in the year 2026, we have been in a script that we have been acting, reacting, and adjusting. But here's the truth. The moment you forget you're the director, life starts impoverishing without your permission. And I want to know how many people right now, you're 4 months into 2026 and you're like, life just ain't going the way it was supposed to be. You know, I had some things that I wanted to do in life. I had some things that I wanted to get off the ground. I had my manifestation, my vision board, or I did some things just in the full 4 months of this year. Things have not gone the way that I wanted them to go. Things have not going the way that I needed them to go. And so in retrospect, I want to talk about taking the director's chair back. Listen to me and hear me good, ladies and gentlemen. The director is the person that shoots the movie. The producer brings everything together. Now when we look at, for example, we look at the movie Sinners, and we take a look at Ryan Coogler, who was the director. He was the one that put the film together. He was the one that would shoot scene by scene. He would put everything together to make sure that everything goes according to how he wanted it to go, because this is his movie. This is his movie that he's shooting. So he's shooting it the way that he wants it to go. And so we're 4 months in 2026. I want to know how many people want to take the director's chair back so now we can reshoot our lives the way that we want it to go for the rest of 2026. You don't just live your life, you frame it, you shoot it, you edit it. You frame it, you shoot it, you edit it. I believe the first 4 months of 2026 were the rough draft. January through now. That was the preview, not the final cut. Some scenes fell off. Some characters didn't align. Some moments didn't match your vision. But I want you to understand this. Every director knows the first version is never the masterpiece. The problem isn't what happened. The problem is thinking it can't be rewritten. Somebody's listening to me right now and they feel like they're stuck. They feel like there's no way for them to get out of the situation and the circumstance that they're in. And I want you to know that it can be rewritten. It can be rewritten. The directors are my favorites. You know, I did a little bit of acting at one time when I lived in New York, and I was an extra. So I did a couple of movies that everybody might know about being an extra. It was a movie called Double Platinum with Brandy and Diana Ross. The movie The Best Man. I had a little scene in that. There was a movie called The Siege with Denzel Washington. There was also a movie called Shaft. I played one of the prisoners. There was a prison scene or whatever. But anyway, those scenes I played an extra where we would just, have us walking around. They would have us standing next to the principal actors. But the most important person in that thing is the director, because he's shooting this movie the way he wants it to go. So when you hire a Spike Lee, when you hire a Martin Scorsese, when you hire a Ryan Coogler, when you hire these big time, or Ava DuVernay, or you hire these directors, they're shooting these movies the way that they want them to go, the way that they see them. And listen, I think this is important. If I gave the same script to Ryan Coogler and to Tyler Perry and to Spike Lee, we would get 3 different movies. Because as a director, you are a creator, and you create the movie the way that you see it, the way that you want this to go. I want you to know that for the remaining year of 2026, we're going to pull back the director's chair so that we can now begin to reshoot, rewrite the movie of our lives the way that we want it to go. Not what happens or by chance what falls, what good luck we have or what good luck we don't have, but how things fall into place. So we'll take a look at that. Actors focus on lines. Directors focus on meaning. Right now, your power is not in what happened. It is in how you interpret it. That setback, that delay, that rejection. That wasn't failure. That was footage. Everything in life, I look at everything in life as a lesson. I don't look at it as a loss. I don't look at it as like, oh, my life is over with. I've been in some heavy situations, but I've always tried to find a lesson in everything that I'm going through. There is a lesson. There is something that I need to learn that maybe needs to bring to my attention, my awareness. And so our power is not in what happened. We can't change what already happened, but we can interpret the setback, the delay, the rejection, and also realize that it wasn't failure, but it was footage that we can use. And footage can be cut, resequenced, and reimagined. Every powerful director knows when to say cut. And so I want to ask you who are listening, what in your life right now needs to be cut? We're 4 months in. What needs to be cut? Old identity, old habits, old relationships, old fears. What needs to be cut? Because, ladies and gentlemen, we can't keep doing the same thing over and over again and calling it and looking for something different to happen. That's called insanity. And so if you're going to cut and take the director's chair back, that means there needs to be some kind of a change that's going to take place. There's going to be a change that's going to take place for the remainder of 2026. Before we can think about, everything happens in mind. I tell everybody all the time that whenever I see the word man or woman, I replace it with mind. Because when you get in a relationship with a man or a woman, you're getting in a relationship with a mind. You're getting in a relationship of how that person thinks and how they operate. Now listen to this. That's why it's so important, and we talked about this last week. It's so important to understand your Mercury sign. Because Mercury, as we discovered last week, is the planet of communication. But also, communication is also connected to how you think. So Mercury also represents the mind. And so when you learn the person's mindset and how they think and how they communicate, it gives you great more detail. But I also want to tell you that it goes a little deeper than that, because it's a little bit more deeper than just your Mercury sign. What sign is my Mercury in? There's certain things we need to look at. We need to look at what house is your Mercury in. We need to look at, yes, what sign it's in, but we need to look at the aspects. And we need to also see what are the houses that your Mercury rules, because Mercury rules Gemini and it also rules Virgo. So this is probably going over some of your heads, but I'm just saying that there needs to be a deeper understanding of how I think. A person who has Mercury in Taurus has a different mindset of a person that has Mercury in Aries. Two different mindsets, two different communication styles. And I say that because if you're going to make a change in the director's seat, you would really want to understand how you operate and how you think. Because if you know that you have your Mercury in Sagittarius, then you understand why did you think the way that you think and why you speak the way you speak. And the more you learn about yourself, the more you get more comfortable in directing the life that you want to see. The more you learn about yourself, the more powerful you become, because now you learn the hand that you were dealt. And I think that's so important. I think that's why my goal as to stepping out into astrology with this book that I have and really launching myself into the community is not so much to teach people things that they don't know and come out with some new phenomenon that's never been discovered, not anything like that. But my perception and my lens on what I believe and how astrology should be applied and used, I think is absolutely phenomenal. I think that it allows you to really expand and grow, but it gives you the tools. The more you know about yourself and the powers and the gifts and the talents that you have within you, I think that it brings you to a great level of confidence and awareness, but it also gives you the ability to really start to walk and utilize your superpower. You know, when you find out who you are and you find out why do you think the way you think, why do you move the way that you move, why do you operate the way that you operate, you know, and then on top of that, you get to learn about the people who are close to you. You get to learn why your husband or your wife thinks the way that she thinks. You get to learn why do they act the way they act. You get to understand why do they move the way they move. And you get to understand a deeper understanding of them. So you realize that, oh, okay, she's like this. Her moon is in Gemini, or her Mercury is in Pisces. So now you get to understand and see things from a different perspective, because now you understand who they are. And in all our getting, we get understanding, we get knowledge, we get wisdom. And when we get that, it helps us to really come together as a team, Because once I know who you are and you know who I am, we know where we're strong at, we know where we're weak at, and we know how to adjust and how to pivot and how to play the game to win. And so it's very important. So that's why every week I constantly tell people all the time, go ahead and click the link and schedule a consultation with me, you know, um, so that you can learn who you are and get a deeper understanding and get uh, 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 a deeper insight on what are some of the things that's happening. For instance, um, you know, some people are lost. They may feel like they're stuck. They may feel like everything is going against them, and you can be there's some planetary cycles that can be going on that can be affecting you at this moment, and you never knew because you never went to see an advisor or anything like that. But it's always good to have the ability to do that and to move on. So when we talk about the director's chair and being able to direct, I always go to that is that the most important thing is knowing who you are. Because when you're sitting in that director's chair and you have all the knowledge and wisdom at your disposal, the things that you can make happen are going to be absolutely phenomenal because nobody can stop you but you. And so, you know, when I offer consultations, I'm not trying to get anything from you. I'm trying to get something to you. I'm trying to give you a level of clarity, a level of awareness. Um, you know, it was amazing. I did a consultation for a woman who was 80 years old. And um, it came out in the consultation that she had a strong gift and talent around children and dealing with children and creativity. And she wrote 8 children's books. And she was blown away that that was in her chart because she was like, "Oh my God, you know, I never knew that this was going to be one of the things that, you know, that was destined for me, but it was there in the chart." So you never know. You never know what you could be missing. You never know what you could not be connecting with for your lack of not knowing. So, you know, I'm just letting you know that that opportunity for you to learn and to grow and to really come into a place where you need to come into is there. And so that's why I think it's imperative that we all understand who we are. The director's chair is something that's it's a very important chair because you're directing, it's your vision. Nothing happens that you don't want to happen. Nothing is in there that you don't want. Remember, cut. If there's something that you don't need in there, as we just said, you're going to cut out the old identity. You're going to cut out the old habits. You're going to cut out the old relationships, the old fears. Anything that's not going to progress your life forward, that's going to move your life forward, you cut that out. There may be some people in your life that you have to cut out. There may be some characters that can't be in this particular scene or in the coming remaining of this year as you move over into some other things. They can't be in it. So if that's the case, ladies and gentlemen, that's just the way it has to be. I can't I have to allow the emotional ties to be cut because everybody can't go where you're going. You're the director. And this your life is in your hands. Your life is in your hands. So that's why it's important that you operate and take the chair back. You know, sometimes life can throw us storms. Sometimes life can throw us a tornado. Sometimes life can just throw us a spiral. And sometimes we could get knocked off and knocked down to the point where we kind of lost our way, lost our direction. But we're 4 months in, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to grab the director's chair back. Now, if you don't cut the scenes that you need to get out of your life, it will stay in the film, in the movie of your life, and it will keep revealing the same scene on repeat over and over again. You cannot direct a powerful film without, you cannot direct a powerful film with a weak lead actor. And so the question is, who have you been playing? The doubter, the overthinker, the one waiting for permission? The role isn't expired. It's not expired. It needs to be recasted. And so you need to be the decisive one, the disciplined one, the aligned one, because the director chooses the energy of the actor. So stay with me. The director chooses the energy of the actor. And remember, you're playing multiple roles, but you also are the visionary of what you want to happen, the scenes that want to happen. You know, every day they say that you live, you write your eulogy. I wonder how magnificent it would be if everybody at this point in their life wrote their own autobiography. You know, wrote their own autobiography and really moved on a situation to where you begin to see everything you've went through, the trials, the tribulations, the ups, the downs, that it didn't kill you, only made you stronger, made you wiser, gave you wisdom, gave you knowledge. But also just to see that, yeah, I went through all of those things and I felt like I didn't have control. I felt like those things happened to me, but now I have the knowledge and I know that I'm in the director's chair now, and now I can start to direct the life that I want. You have to become a director in your mind before you can become a director in your life. Everything starts in the mind. Everything starts in the mind. Everything starts in the mind. And with that being said, it brings us to a time where we begin to look at everything that's happening. Because if everything happens in the mind, and I'm in this situation right now, I'm in this situation where things are not going the way that I wanted to go or the way that I designed it to go, I need to go within and make some adjustments. I need to go within and make some things happening, make some things come into play, because guess what? I need to be able to understand why things are not happening the way that they are. I need to see that. I need to know that. The director is one who has a very tedious job. I was listening to an interview the other day with Martin Lawrence. They asked Martin Lawrence, would he direct again? The movie that he directed was A Thin Line Between Love and Hate. He wrote and directed. It was a great movie. Lynn Winfield, Bobby Brown, Regina King. It was a good movie. A Thin Line Between Love and Hate. But he said that it took everything out of him. It was a very difficult time, because what happens is when you're the director, everything is under your disposal. You're in charge of everything. You're in charge to make this movie come out in your direction. and come out into your vision of what you have it. And whether you have the tools, whether everything goes the way it's supposed to go, there's going to be some challenges. There's going to be some adjustments. There's going to be a whole lot of things that needs to happen. But in regard of that, he talked about the weight of everything on him. And ladies and gentlemen, that's life. Nobody's coming to save us. Nobody. You're either a victim or a volunteer. And once you become a grown adult, you're a volunteer for everything that you sign up for. So we understand that and we move in that. Eddie Murphy, the same thing. Eddie Murphy they asked Eddie Murphy, would he direct again? And he said, I don't know if I would direct again after Harlem Nights. He said Harlem Nights was a very difficult movie to do because everything weighed on him. And so when we talk about, ladies and gentlemen, getting back into the director's seat, we're getting back into control of our lives. That means everything is on us. We can't blame anybody for anything. We can't blame the government. We can't blame our jobs. We can't blame the economy. We can't blame anything because we are in the director's seat. And he talked about, once again, just like Martin, Eddie says it was very difficult to shoot Harlem Nights. The responsibility of bringing everything together, of taking this script. And I think it's amazing the role of the director. The role of the director takes this script that has been written and he takes it from paper. He takes it from paper and he makes it a manifestation in real time. And if you've ever seen a script, I had the opportunity of going to the motion picture library in Los Angeles. And in that library, they have the original scripts for all the movies. So, I was able to see the original script for Malcolm X. And you can see the handwritten notes that Spike Lee was writing down as they were shooting live. Have Denzel do here, have him stand there. He would cross out certain dialogue and handwrite what Denzel would say. And it's called the shooting script. It's the actual script that the director is writing on and taking notes as they're going through this. And in life, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to have the same thing. Your journals, you're going to be writing down what you want. You're going to be writing down what you need to do. You're going to be saying, you know what, I want to do this, but because of what's going on, I want to make an adjustment. I want to go this way. I want to do it this way. And so you need to have your director's book. Everybody needs a director's book so they can start directing their life the way that they want it to go. Start directing your life the way you want it to go. Somebody says, I need to get a director's book because I need to start directing my marriage. I don't like the way my marriage is going. I don't like the way, my business is going. So I need to start directing things in my life. And once I'm able to start directing these things and writing down the things that I want to direct and put into motion, you'll see how every time you make a decision, every time you make a step, for every action, there's always going to be a reaction. For every action, ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be a reaction. And so when you put this in and I begin to maneuver and make changes with your life, a director is going by a script, and the script is already been solidified. It's already been written. It's already been looked at. It's already been verified that this is the shooter script, and everybody agrees with everything that's going on. But even in the midst of all of that, the director has the final say-so. And one of the things that I love too with Ryan Coogler did one of the best deals that a director really never had before, where he got a piece of the gross money up front of Sinners, but he also got the director's cut, which means that no, Sony, Universal, they didn't get the final cut of the movie. He did. And that's what you want in life, ladies and gentlemen. You want to have the ability to have the final cut. I don't want anybody else to edit my life but me. I want the final cut. If I don't like this, I'm taking it out. If I don't want that, I'm taking it out. I don't want nobody else to dictate to me what I need or don't need to have in my life. I want the final cut. Some people say, not next year, but someday. I say right now. Ladies and gentlemen, we still have 8 months. We have thousands of decisions left to make, ladies and gentlemen. So the question becomes, what must the rest of 2026 look like? Ladies and gentlemen, what does the rest of 2026 look like? Write it out for the next 8 months. What does it look like? I got a lot of things going on. I got the new book coming out. That's already out. I have some more books that will be released over the year. I got a couple of webinars, a couple of things set up, but I'm in my director's chair. I want everybody to get in their director's chair and begin to write down, what does the rest of 2026 look like? What's in your script? What's in your script for the rest of the year, ladies and gentlemen? Money-wise, family-wise, career-wise, health-wise. What's in your script for the rest of this year? Don't be vague with it. Begin to write down everything, your income, lifestyle, relationships, your identity. Because clarity is the direction. Life allows retakes. Whenever they do a scene, and the director may say, you know what, let's do that one more time. They do a retake. Life allows retakes, but only for those who choose to reshoot. See, a lot of us don't realize that we can do retakes. We can reshoot. If something didn't go the way it was supposed to go, we can redo it again. You don't need a new year. You need a new decision. If the last 4 months were misaligned, now you know what not to repeat. Now you know what not to repeat. I'm not going to repeat the same things that I did within the last 3 months of January, February, March, but I'm going to make a decision to move. And listen, this is why consultations are important, ladies and gentlemen, because if we're going to be deciding on what's going on for the rest of 2026, I need to know what's going on in the heavens. I need to find somebody who can decode the language of the heavens, because I want to make sure that the planetary configurations are in alignment with my vision for the rest of the year. Hear me and hear me good, ladies and gentlemen. I want to make sure that the planetary configurations in the heavens are in alignment with the vision that I have for myself for the rest of the year. Because if you come to me and you say, I want to do X, Y, and Z, and you do it X, Y, and Z, I may say, oh, listen, you know what? I would wait until June to do that. According to the planetary configurations, June will be an exceptional year for you to attempt to do what you wanted to do here, according to your life script and things that you want to manifest and things that you want to get out. Or it may say, hey, listen, I see some things, some turbulence that may be coming in the month of May for you. So let's wait to maybe like August or July or August, and let's kind of, reschedule and reshoot some things for July and August, because I see May bring a little turbulence. It may be a time for you to kind of, work on this and work on that. So that's why it's important, ladies and gentlemen, for you to get a consultation, because the more knowledge and wisdom you have, the more that you are able to accelerate, the more that you're able to progress and move. And people are like, man, you're lucky. You know, it just seems like everything you do touches, just turns to gold. It seems like everything that you're doing is just blowing up and being successful overnight. No, because I know the configurations of where the planets were. I went to go see my advisor. I went to go see Issachar Bey, and he told me X, Y, and Z. You know, and so we look at those things. You know, I had a woman who came to me, wanted to know the best place for her to live because she wanted to be successful. And we were able to look at that, and it's called astrocartography. And that's a part of astrology where we can look at your chart and we can tell you the best places for you to move in the world or in the United States for love, romance, money, career, whatever it is that you need. Now, I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and I moved from Brooklyn, New York to Las Vegas. Everybody thought I was crazy. Everybody said, you're absolutely crazy. You moved to Las Vegas on your own. You know, you're crazy. And then for a period of time, I moved from Las Vegas to San Antonio. Now, the reason I moved to San Antonio, where I am now, is because I wanted to see what life was like on my Venus line. And what means that I'm living on the planetary line of Venus. And so Venus is about love, romance, and all of those things like that, which, you know, I have a story I could tell you. It's unbelievable. But I wanted to be on my Venus line. I could have moved to Minnesota on my Jupiter line. But what I'm saying to you is, in the director's chair of your life, ladies and gentlemen, you have the ability to make the decisions that you want to make. When I moved to San Antonio, I never told anybody that I was moving because of my Venus line, but people thought I was crazy. People would say, well, why would you move to San Antonio? It seems like you would do better in Houston or Dallas. But I couldn't do well in Houston because, according to my chart, Houston is not a good place for me to go. Dallas is okay, but Houston is not good for me to live. And so I came to my Venus line. But ladies and gentlemen, these are insights. These are levels of wisdom that I learned so that I could make the decision I needed to make as a director of my life, of the movie of my life. And so I'm telling all of you, you want to be in the know. You need to go ahead and hit that button and schedule a consultation with me so that you will be in the know of everything that you need to know so you can make the decision and be in alignment for the rest of the year. Most people try to fix their actions, but the director works with energy and intention first. The director works with the energy and the intention first. Ask yourself, what is my main focus going daily right now? What am I emotionally rehearsing? What story am I telling myself repeatedly? You got to do that. What am I focusing on right now? Everybody needs to have a director's book. Get you a composition notebook, a spiral bound book. Call it the director's book, the director's book of my life, for the movie of my life. And you start writing down. You go, for the rest of 2026, this is what I want to see happen in my life. This is what I want to accomplish. This is what I want to experience. And you begin to focus on those things. You begin to get, by emotionally rehearsing, and then you begin to say, what story am I telling myself repeatedly? So you're telling yourself the story of the things that you want to see happen. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you this too. When you're in a director's chair, I'm going to tell you this. Listen. And you are getting ready to move your life in a certain direction, and you're moving and you're controlling, you're visionary, and you're doing the things that you want to see happen. I want you to hear this. What happens is you don't worry about how it's going to come to pass. You can't worry about that. Because if you're worrying about, if somebody says right now, I'm going to go tomorrow and get me a composition notebook and I'm going to write my director's movie of my life book, and I'm going to say I want to go on a cruise this year, and you're worrying about the money for the cruise, you are going to block your blessing. You don't worry about the money to get on the cruise. You worry about the cruise. Guess what? You focus on seeing yourself on the cruise. You get emotionally rehearsed about the cruise. You see yourself walking on the boat, meeting all the people, meeting the captain and the staff. You see yourself. What is the story that you're telling yourself? The story that you're telling yourself is, I see myself going on this cruise. So the more you work with it, the more you write it down, the more you start putting it in your everyday, and you begin to sit in your director's chair and work with it, you'll see how things will come to pass. Because now here's the thing. That's why I tell everybody to get a consultation with me. Because now when you come with me to get a consultation, we can look at some of the things. I can tell you, well, how do you think? What's your mindset like? Where's your Mercury at? I can see your natal promise. I can see what cycle you're in. I can see the planetary alignments that are configured with you for this year, and tell you, well, listen, I want you to plan to go on a cruise in August. August is a wonderful month for you to go on a cruise. And listen, don't worry about how it's going. Just focus on August. But these are the things that you need to do. So we can now move on your superpowers. We can now move on the powers, the gifts, the talents that you do have, to show you that in your director's chair how you can utilize everything at your disposal. Because many of you don't even know the power that you have. As I said in the beginning, we just go to work, we come home, we take care of the kids, we pay the bills, we do all of this over and over again like a hamster on a wheel, and that's what we do. And that's what we call life. That's what we call reality. And we do the same thing over and over again, and we do it for 30, 40, 50 years. We retire. And so that's not life, my friend. We have the ability to be, to do, and to have everything that we want. And so I believe that it's no greater time than the present. I believe that whatever you rehearse internally, you will eventually film it externally. So what I mean by that is, the woman comes to me and says she wants to go on this cruise, and we working on her, because I'm not going to rehearse for you. I'm not going to rehearse, but what I'm going to do is open up your eyes, your awareness, to show you what you have at your disposal, to show you how you think, to show you how you move, how you operate. I'm going to show you the hand that you were dealt in life, and then I'm going to show you how to play the hand, but you have to play it. So you're going to do the work into doing certain things, and I'm going to give you the best times to do things. I'll tell you to do this and do that, and we'll look at all of that. But you're going to have to be the one to actually execute it and implement everything. But I will bring to your awareness the powers, the gifts, everything that you have at your disposal. So when you sit in that director's chair, you're not afraid, because you know what arsenal you have with you to do the things that you need to do. You know how to pivot. You know how to make an adjustment, because you're focused on what you need to do. Directors don't panic during the middle of a scene. They adjust calmly, intentionally, strategically. This is why your next level you're not going to be reacting, you're not spiraling, you're not doubting, but you're choosing. What is the next aligned move? And once you decide what is your next aligned move, you're now executing it over and over again. What is my next aligned move? What is my next aligned move? You can't move until you first understand what's going on and where you are. Because many of us are just moving to and fro. Wherever life pushes us, we move to. Wherever the wind blows, we move that way. And so when you're in the director's chair, ladies and gentlemen, you are in control of what's happening. You're in control. You're in control. When you get a chance, just Google directors. Just go on YouTube and Google interviews with directors and watch how they tell you. You know, when I'm directing a film, I have to shut everything off. It takes me a year just to prepare to shoot a film. And when you're shooting a film, it takes it takes everything, because I'm so consumed into what I'm doing, I realize the responsibility that's in my hands. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. There's nobody coming to save you. Your life is in your hands. And so that's why it's so important when you understand the philosophy, when you understand the mindset of a director. Go pull up the interview of them interviewing Spike Lee about director Malcolm X and see what he had to go through. And listen to these directors, these big-time directors, the F. Gary Grays. And so we begin to understand and look at these things and begin to look at how important the director is in our lives, that we are the director of our own lives. And we have to be able to know how to cut and how to move things out of our lives that don't benefit us. You don't wait for things to change, ladies and gentlemen. You don't hope things improve. You sit in the chair and you decide what stays, what goes, what's next. You sit in the director's chair and you decide what stays in my life, what goes out of my life, and what's next in my life. Life doesn't control the film, the director does. I'll say that again, ladies and gentlemen. Life doesn't control the film, the director does. And ladies and gentlemen, that director is you. When you start operating in the consciousness of a director, I always like to do this, your concept of life, your perception, the lens you look through begins to change, and you start speaking like this. I am the director of my life, not the reactor to it. I decide the direction of my reality with clarity and authority. I release every scene that no longer aligns with my vision. I rewrite my story with power, precision, and purpose. I move with intention, not confusion. I am aligned with my highest timeline for 2026. Every decision I make now shapes the life I desire. I trust my vision and act on it boldly. I reshoot, I, I realign and rise without hesitation. The rest of 2026 responds to my leadership. And so when you realize that you are in control and that you're the director of your own life, ladies and gentlemen, you'll realize life does not control the film, the director does. I want to thank all of you. Listen, if this message, this lecture has been a blessing to you, has really got you thinking about some things, or you know somebody that needs to hear this, go ahead and hit that share link and copy it, email it to them, text it to them, and put it into put it into a email and send it to him and let him know that, hey, this brother every Sunday, same time, same place, he's dropping knowledge, he's dropping wisdom, and you guys need to be a part of what he's doing. Those of you that want to get a copy of my new book, The 365 Astrological Compass, go ahead and get it. The link is in the description. Also, if you want to get a consultation to figure out, while I get into the director's chair, how can I get all the information and awareness I need to be able to direct my life for the rest of this year, go ahead and hit that link and schedule a consultation with me. Also, I want to open it up for anybody that wants to be a financial blessing. If you're saying, hey, man, this guy comes in every Sunday, he drops all of these great messages, he doesn't charge us, and we are forever grateful for what he's doing, and I just want to be a blessing to him. If that's you, if you look in the description, there's the ways that you can give, that you can donate, you can sow a seed, you can donate. But I believe this, that everybody that sows a seed, everybody that donates into this ministry, this organization, I believe that everything your hands touch will be successful. I believe also that you will receive a 100-fold return on everything that you have placed in our organization. And so we thank you because we believe in the power of circulation, that once you release it, the blessing comes back to its original point of origin. And so we believe that greatly. I want you to know this one thing. Your destiny is not a matter of chance, but it's a matter of choice. And I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.